Ashton's speech on gun control.
Freedom. Every single person in the United States, this place we call home, has a list of freedoms. While there are many freedoms, there are also laws that everyone is required to follow. But when do laws start to get in the way of freedom? The Second Amendment of the United States is a law that gives every single U.S. citizen the right to purchase, own, and carry a gun. This is one of 10 amendments, the first 10 amendments, that has been in the United States since it was first established. Nowadays, people seem to talk about guns more and more. There are statistics, facts, and examples to back up that guns are very useful and resourceful. Gun policies and laws have minute positive impact and should be taken away. Laws on guns infringe upon the right of self-defense. Everybody needs to be able to protect themselves. Again, gun laws don't deter crime. Gun ownership deters crime. And if you take away the right to have a gun, so you add these laws and gun policies, then that is taking away some of your freedom and giving it away to the government. Self-defense has become more and more important in today's growing and changing world. According to the Uniform Crime Report, in 2018, 127,258 people were victims of rape. In 2019, there were 66 deaths due to mass shootings. In 2017, there were 117 deaths due to mass shootings. And in the past 2 years, there have been almost 4,300 robberies. These are some very scary statistics, and they should definitely not be that high just for the 1 to 2 years that they are. But it all brings up some interesting questions about guns. But something you should know about guns that is very important is that the person behind the guns decide how the gun is viewed. Without a person, a gun would be nothing. It'd be useless. But when you add that person, and then whatever they decide to do on it is what they put a take on. Something else to know is that during many of the crimes and violent acts that we see today, most of the guns are stolen. Hundreds of thousands of guns are stolen every single year. The National Rifle Association says that guns are used roughly 2.5 billion times a year for self-defense. Being able to protect yourself is very important, and this just goes to show how handy having a gun by your side can help and protect your safety. Alright, there's a very interesting saying about guns, and it goes like this. Gun control laws do not deter crime. Only gun ownership can deter crime. This basically means that gun control laws do not impact the way a person uses a gun. Only the person who uses the gun can impact how that gun is used. Every single year, a big common thing that we hear about is school shootings. Now, school shootings suck and they should never happen, but unfortunately, that is what just happens sometimes. In school shootings, innocent kids and people die at the cost of a mad criminal who is just simply taking his anger out on the people of the school and in the other people around them in the community. Now, these kids that are dying and the people that are dying or being injured in all of these, it is not their fault, and they did nothing to impact this. But people But yet, people still die, and people are still victims of this. Now, death is a very scary thing, and the death of a loved one is more scary than just death itself. Teaching gun ownership more can lead to a safer world. If we just continue to add more laws on guns, that's not actually teaching anybody about how important using guns can be and how the value of safety can be used on guns. Laws will not teach. They are only just regulations there that oftentimes do not affect many people. If we could take the time to sit down and teach everybody about guns and how to properly use them, gun ownership, then we could make the world a better place. Some studies have shown that when gun ownership is increased, the crime rate has decreased. So gun ownership is very important in the use of guns today. Now let's go back to something that I started talking about during this beginning of this talk: freedom and power. Again, America is a place full of many freedoms. Everybody is free, has many freedoms, and it's what makes America America. Without freedom, America would not be what it is known as today. Freedom is the single word for a better life. People all over the world try to hope to come to America in order to gain freedom and to get away from a dictator or mean leader, a higher up leader that they don't agree with. And thanks to part of the thing that makes America have the aspect of freedom that it does is the U.S. Constitution. And the first 10 amendments, one of which is the Amendment number 2, which is an amendment on guns. The Second Amendment reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed." And so, guns have been around for a while. People have used guns ever since America was first created. By taking away rights and adding laws against the use of guns, this is taking away a lifelong freedom that Americans have always had. A big way guns are used today is through the sport of hunting. A lot of people hunt for game, and some people even live off of hunting. That's their source of income. That's how they survive. People need hunting to get food, and everybody needs to eat. So if we start taking away guns and adding laws on guns, then we have less hunters. We'll have people who won't be able to hunt anymore. That will lead to less food and less healthy meats in the grocery. We'll start having to get a lot of our food from animals on farms, and due to the rate of them having to keep up with everything and get the food to the grocery stores and the larger quantities that needed to be, they'll have to use hormones and a lot of other steroids and stuff to get the animals big and fat. And so this will lead to a bad and healthy lifestyle for everyone. So hunting is good for both the hunters and the consumers. Also, if we add laws and policies for gun control, then that will take away some of our freedom and give it to other people, such as the government. While the government will become more powerful, we the people will become less powerful. Adding policies and laws on guns is just one way that we can give up our power, give up our say in the country that we live in today. Now, while many people say that laws against guns will make the world a way safer place and it would drop the violence and crime rates way down, that many people say that. Yes, there is a high rate of violence and death, but not all of it is by guns. Not all of it's by guns. A lot of it is also by other weapons and other sources. Also, a lot of the guns that have been used in these deaths, in the crimes and violence, have been stolen guns. You can't control whether a gun is stolen. If somebody could buy a gun, and they could be they could follow all the safety rules, they could have great gun ownership, and if that gun gets stolen and used for something like crime and violence, it is simply not their fault. So a lot of guns have been stolen, and again, if we can teach everyone the importance of gun ownership, we can all make the world a little safer. Banning and adding policies will only lead to no good. Guns are serious and can be scary. This is for people who use guns or own guns and carry guns, and for people that have never even held a gun, never even seen a gun. Guns are just scary. Again, if we lose the right to bear arms, we lose some of our freedom. And by giving up our freedom, which we have had, this is what defines us in America, we have these freedoms. If we take away, continue to add laws and rules against gun, or towards gun control, then that is taking away some of our freedom. If there are more policies and laws on gun control, then self-defense will become way more difficult. We'll have to start to think of different ways to protect ourselves, because we'll no longer have a safe means of protecting ourselves. So we'd have to really think about that. And if they add more laws and policies on gun control, we will lose the right given to us by the Second Amendment, a right that we have had forever and a right that we should have forever. Again, something very important. It is not the gun, it is the person behind the gun. So if we can all figure out how to safely use guns and have good gun ownership, then we can use guns to their maximum ability. Gun control has very limited positives and should be taken away to preserve the freedom and protection of all people.